friends, and welcome to day 2 of reading. Yesterday we talked about some literal and non-literal language, and today we're going to be talking some more about that, but we're going to be talking about it in terms of riddles. So we're going to get to read through some riddles together for our core story and talk about the literal and non-literal meanings of those. So yesterday we talked about literal and non-literal language. We used this example yesterday, put a lid on it. We talked about how the literal meaning of put a lid on it means to put a lid on a container, a physical lid on a container. But the non-literal or unexpected meaning means to be quiet. So a lot of times when authors or writers of jokes use literal and non-literal language, that's called wordplay, and they use different meanings of words to make it non-literal language. Today we're going to be reading our core story called Animals, More or Less. It's by Mike Thaler, and it's illustrated by Jared Lee. The genre of our core story today is riddles. So a riddle is a question that has a funny answer. A riddle is a question that has a funny answer. The answer may have playful language, like we talked about yesterday, that literal and that non-literal language, such as words within words, which means words that mean something different, rhyming words, or words that sound alike but mean something different, like the word red could be the color red, or read a book. All right, our first riddle says, what do you call too many pigs on the same road? What do you call too many pigs on the same road? A ham jam. So our hint, the literal meaning of jam, is too many cars on the same road is called a traffic jam. And what do you see in this picture here? There are too many pigs on this road. So they're talking about a traffic jam here, but instead of saying a traffic jam, they're calling it a ham jam. So ham and bacon and pork chops are all different kinds of cuts of meat that you can eat from a pig. And so they're talking about a pig jam here. So I'm talking about a ham jam, or too many pigs on the road here. So that is the playful language they're using here. A ham jam. Too many pigs on the road. Our next riddle. What can too many rabbits in the air cause? What can too many rabbits in the air cause? Our hint says too many poisons in the air can cause air pollution. If we think about it, what's another word for rabbit that sounds like air? Hair pollution. So their playful language here, they use the word hair because it sounds like the air we're breathing. But it's hair pollution. So what can too many rabbits in the air cause? Hair pollution. Our next riddle, what does one lonely buffalo do when it sees other buffaloes? It tries to be heard. So a herd of animals can be noisy, and it can be heard as it runs across the plains. So that is our hint here. And so instead of herd meaning an actual herd of animals or a lot of animals, they're using herd here as trying to be listened to. He's trying to be listened to. So what does one lonely buffalo do when it sees other buffaloes? It tries to be heard. What happens when too few acorns fall from the trees? So our hint is acorns are nuts that squirrels like to eat. So that's a kind of nut that a squirrel likes to eat. What happens when too few acorns fall from the trees? The squirrels go nuts. So they're using playful language here. And the literal meaning of the squirrels go nuts is the actual nut itself, the acorn. And the non-literal meaning, or the playful language that they're using, to go nuts means to go crazy. So instead of them saying that the squirrels are going to go find nuts, they're saying the squirrels are going crazy. What happens when too few acorns fall from the trees? The squirrels go nuts. What happens when there are too many frogs on a baseball team? Our hint is that frogs eat flies, but in baseball, flies are balls hit high into the air. High into the air. So what do you think the word flies might mean here? What happens when there are too many frogs on a baseball team? They catch all the flies. But instead of them talking about fly balls, like in baseball, balls that go too high, they're talking about actual flies, because frogs like to eat flies. Awesome, so these are called puns. The author uses playful language to get you engaged with the joke they're trying to tell. So we're gonna go through all of these one more time and just read them. And you're gonna see if you can now understand the joke that the author is trying to tell you. So what do you call too many pigs on the same road? A ham jam. Too many pigs on this road, a ham jam. What can too many rabbits in the air cause? Hair pollution. Because a hare is a rabbit. Hair pollution. What does one lonely buffalo do when it sees other buffaloes? It tries to be heard. You can see the herd of buffaloes on the ridge here. It tries to be heard, but it's talking about it wants to be listened to. What happens when too few acorns fall from the trees? The squirrels go nuts. They go crazy, but squirrels like to eat nuts, like acorns. And so the author is using playful language here. And what happens when there are too many frogs on a baseball team? They catch all the flies, but instead of talking about fly balls, the author is talking about actual flies. So these are puns, and the author is using playful language, so when you go and do your assignment today, I want you to keep your ears tuned for playful language that the author might be using. Like words that might literally mean one thing, but their unexpected meaning is something else. So it's your job to be a detective and try and think about the non-literal meaning or the unexpected meaning that the author is using.